Today we will learn a little bit about functions, writing your own functions that is, and how to do some simple old-style encryption. Nothing you would use in real life, of course, just to illustrate some of the ideas and some of the interesting Python programming. All right, so our first goal is to use functions to reverse a string. So let's take a look at the output. So my program is called cipher.py. It says to enter a string, hello world. Hold on 1 second. I have some other things coming too, but I thought I saved it. So what I did here is I commented out the rest of the program, which we'll get to later. So I only wanted to go up to here. So let's try that again. Hello world. So the reverse of hello world is this. Try again. And as you can see, it successfully reverses. All right, so how does this program work? So take a look at this. This is called a function. So from lines 1 to 7 is a function that I wrote. So the name of the function is called reverse. And it takes an argument, s. You don't have to tell the function what kind of variable it is. Python will figure that out later on at runtime, as opposed to another language, a lower level language, where you would have to say that right away. All right, so let's see. How are we going to write a function that's going to take a string, s, and it's going to reverse it and return r as the reversed string? Okay, so let's just see how to use it first. So we enter a string from the user, and then we call it by saying reverse string is the reverse of my string. So my string goes from here into this function right here. So s takes the place of my string. My string gets substituted into s. So then we can work on s, figure out how to reverse s, and return a string called r. This string r becomes the value of this function. So all of this is now r. So whatever r is done in here gets returned to here and then is assigned to reverse string. And once rev string holds the value of r from here, then you can utilize it as you would any other variable. All right, so let's take a look at how this function works. So this function's line 1 to 7 is a little tiny program in its own right. So let's see. So we're given s, our string. R, that's an empty string right now. N, that's the length of s, but I actually changed my mind after I initially wrote it, and we don't need it. It's not used. Looks like I just wrote it 2 times for some reason. Okay. So we want to write a little for loop to reverse a string. Now, you can do it backwards, and I did try that first, but it was a little confusing. And then I thought it might be easier to just do a forward for loop, but go backwards on the string itself, rather than a backwards for loop. I don't often see backward for loops in programming, because you don't really ever need to do that. You can always just handle it some other way. But if you'd like to do it that way, you can, but you have to be careful with the starting and the ending. Okay, so we start at the length of s minus 1. I starts at 0, right? So let's look at this code one line at a time. All right, so let's start with a string. Keep wanting to put a W in hello, maybe from yellow. Hello world. Okay. Now, length of s is the length of the string, 11. It has 11 characters. And what that means is the 0th character is really the first, which is capital H. And remember, you can't do the 11th character. You can't put an 11 here. That's too big. 0 to 11 is 12 numbers. So we actually have to end at 11 minus 1, which is the D. Or you could simply say length of s minus 1. And that's the preferred way. This way we don't have to really know what the length is. We can just utilize the built-in function length of s. Okay, so this is when I is 0. So let's let I equal 0. And we have minus I minus 1, right, looking up here. That's the D. Then let's let I equal 1. And then we get the L. In other words, if we put a 1 here, then we are the second to the last character in the string. If we put a 2 here, see, we're going backwards. We just have to make sure we get the end and the first correct. So let's see the end. I goes from 0 to length of s minus 1. Remember, if there's a 10 here, 0 to 9. So in there, let's put the final value for I, length of s minus 1. And you can simplify this, of course. And if you simplify it properly, you should get s of 0, the 0th position, which is the h again. All right, so hopefully that explains the tricky part here. And how does the rest of this function work? Well, I build the string R one character at a time. Now, you're not allowed to change characters. See, you could say something like R equals let's say, for example, we say this is R. You can't modify individual characters. This is a static type. It's immutable. You're not allowed to change it. But what you could do is you could do something like this. If you just want to put a C there, you could say, so here's R. You could say R equals R 0 plus R. Don't start at 0, start at 1. So let's see if it worked. Yeah, it worked, but what I wanted to do is put a C here. So let's see. All right, so what happened there? I used the concatenation operator, which combines two strings. Remember this? Remember what R1? That's from position 1 onward, which is the second character. So a common technique is something like this. So let R equal the empty string. Then you could say R equals R plus C. Then you do that again. And see, you can keep on building the string. And what you're really doing is you're reallocating memory here and creating a new copy of R. And you're not changing the old copy. You're just making a new copy and disregarding the old copy. But as you can see, this is allowed. So that's what I do. And you could do a for loop. For I in range 100, R equals R plus C. And then print R, and you can see you've made a giant string. So this is very useful for building strings. All right, so that's what I'm doing here. The new string R is the old string R plus another character. And eventually I'll get all the characters and I'll add them one by one. Okay, now turns out there's a really easy way to reverse strings using a built-in Python code. So let's say S is back to hello world again. And if I do something like this, see? So this is a built-in function. It doesn't look too great. It looks kind of odd. And my guess is it's sort of doing something that we coded out here, something along those lines. But you don't have to know every built-in function, for Python. But if you want to know how I found that one, so type Python how to reverse a string. The Stack Overflow seems to be where there's every question answered. And there's actually an even easier way. It doesn't look too good, but this works too. So you could also do this. It looks kind of odd to me. What looks like it's happening is it's going through all the characters but in reverse. I wouldn't bother memorizing anything like that. But there are other solutions too. People complain they don't like the way that looks. So somebody says this is a better way to do it. And then there are explanations. So you can learn anything you need of Python 100 times over online. Okay. All right, so now that we have that taken care of, we know that we tested out this function. We've tested out a reverse string. Let's run it one last time. Whoops. So Python, the file name. And we have the reverse. All right, so we're done testing this out. So you can comment out this these 3 lines. We don't need them anymore. Let's go to our main program. Okay, so there are 2 files now. There's a new file called plaintext.txt. I went on the Wikipedia for the Academy and just copy and pasted some text. This is a text file. As you can see, it's actually only 1 line. This is line 1. And when you copy and paste from the web, sometimes it doesn't copy the escape characters. But it's not a big deal. We could handle this ourselves. All right, so we have, and in fact, if we want, we can put some lines here and see what happens too. But let me erase them. So what I'm doing now is I'm erasing the escape characters. In fact, you can actually view these characters. You can view all the strange escape characters. There are hidden characters. I don't know if I know on this program how to find it. I can look for it at another time, but there is a way to see all those escape characters. You can have them show up. All right, so we have our text file, a paragraph of text, and the program that we're on, cipher.py, is going to create a ciphertext. It's going to encrypt the plain text file. So the first thing that's new is, how do you open a file in Python? Well, lines 18 through 20 show you give the file name. This is assuming we're in the same directory. We'll talk more in class about what happens when you're in a different directory. Then this one command will read the entire file and store it as a giant string. So text is equal to f.read, and then close the file so perhaps another program could open it if needed. Okay, so that's how you open a file, a text file at least. And first thing we'll do is let's check that it works, right? So let's look at the text. And if you want to put in a little control character, a little control to exit, just so we can see if this works, exit would work. That's a built-in function. All right, so let's see. Okay, so as you can see, it opened up the file and it printed the string. All right, so let's get rid of that exit. It works. Next thing I'm going to do is just to illustrate one of the built-in string functions, one of the methods. It's a method because it's called with a dot split, with a dot, is to split the text into words and put them in a list. So let's see what this looks like. So here I'll print out words, and I'll exit right here so the program stops. And as you can see, you can tell it whatever you want. We'll learn about this after the holiday. But it separated the words based on blank space, on one blank space. It uses spaces as a separator. But you could tell it to separate based on other things, like a parenthesis. You can do better than that if you wanted to. Okay. Next, how do you make everything uppercase? Well, that's pretty easy. You use the method called upper. So text is a string. That means you can access the methods that are built in for it. And upper will convert it to upper, but it won't modify text. It'll just return a value, which is the uppercases. You have to store it in a new variable if you want to utilize it. So up text equals text.upper. And as you can see, it did that. I mean, you could double check. See, s equals hello world s.upper. So let's look at s. See, s did not change. So it does not store the change of the uppercase, but you could say s equals. If you wanted to store it, you could say s equals s.upper. And then you can see s is uppercase. And if you want it lower, back to lower. This is useful because if you have inconsistent data, you want it to either, sometimes you might want it to be all uppercase or all lowercase. Okay. All right, so we covered uppercase, lowercase, and reverse so far. Now, if you'd like to read about this kind of cipher, it's in the textbook in chapter, it's in chapter 4, I believe. Let's see. Chapter 4, there's a little encryption section, page 106. It's chapter 4 in the strings and text file chapter, and there's a little section called data encryption. So this is called the Caesar Cipher. It's, as I said, it's not at all secure. It's about the worst thing you could do if you really want to encrypt your data. It's super easy to break. There are much better things, and many built-in things you could use. But this is just to illustrate some of the functions. All right. So with that disclaimer, distance is 4. I'm basically going to move up the ASCII scale. So just to see how things are working here, how some of these functions work. All right, so let's see. So let's C be a character. Now, if you want to see the ASCII code of it, that's its order. So 65 is the number corresponding to A. And in fact, for I in range, let's try 200. Print the character that goes with I. And these are the ASCII codes. How many there are? Let's see. Can we do 500? So as you can see, there's a lot of them. This must be the Unicode characters, all the extra codes that are available. So there's quite a lot of codes. All right. So C equals A. So we have the order of C, 65. So the idea is to shift up by distance. So say by 4. So order, so take 65 and add 4 to it. And now find the character that goes with this shifted up order, E. So basically, every A would get converted to an E. So that's, we shifted up by 4. That's what distance is. So let's take a look. All right, so encoded text is empty string right now. Distance is 4. For C in up text, so we're using our uppercase text, ord value is the order of C. Okay, so for each character in our string, not word, these are characters, for each character in our string, we take the character and the for loop will do something with this character. Okay, I'm going to continue on the next video. This video is getting a little long, and it's sometimes difficult to convert and upload giant files. So meet me in the next video, please.